And I was a living testimony that when you walk into your calling, God will equip you with everything you need, including endurance, perseverance, patience. Those are going to be your superpowers. Hi, I am Terra Renee, president and founder of African American Women in Cinema, and you're watching So Booking Cool.
That's so motherfucking cool to listen to So Booking Cool.
Welcome to So Booking Cool, it's Joel B. Today's guest is a multi-award winning founder, president, producer, filmmaker whose work was selected at the Cannes Film Festival, advocate, actress, author, and radio host. She launched African American Women in Cinema, a nonprofit organization created to connect, create, and expand business opportunities for minority women filmmakers throughout the entertainment industry. The organization, which has multiple chapters, has been around for over 25 years. Our guest is the author of Season of the Full Circle. She also made history as the first African-American woman film producer filmmaker to host a panel on Capitol Hill and has served as a judge for the Emmys, Student Academy Awards, Oscars, to name a few. She also has led anti-gun violence programs. On every third Thursday, you can catch her radio show, Cinema Spotlight Corner. Here with us today, she is Terra Renee.
Wow, Joel, thank you so much. What a warm introduction, something that I will certainly live on for the rest of my life. Thank you, Joel.
You're very welcome. You know, this is a reflection of a lot of the work that you have done. So it's great to talk with you today.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. And speaking of the work that you have done, as mentioned in the introduction, you have won many awards, including an NAACP Image Award. And that was an award show that recently took place for another year. Do you remember, Tara, the moment when you were nominated and when you won your award?
Yes, actually, and thank you so much for that. So the award that I won, Woman of the Year, say NAACP, it was actually a chapter award, the NAACP chapter. And when I was told by the president of that chapter that I was nominated for Women of the Year award, I was blown away. As a matter of fact, I couldn't even put together a succinct speech until the time I got up to the podium to accept the award. So, but thank you so much for asking about that. Really appreciate it.
Oh yes, of course. And I'll make sure I get it right. That's a huge honor. You know,
Well, thank you. Thank you.
you did study film in school, you earned your degree in it, you went on to do internships, associated, produced several independent films as well. One of the places you interned at was Universal Pictures. Would you say that your path to the film world was always linear? When did you know that you got bit by that bug?
Ah, Jewel, thank you for utilizing that term. You know, I thought I was the only one that was using that term for a little while recently. Well, the day before I graduated out of college, I was actually studying a different major because I really didn't know what it was that I wanted to do.
Mhm.
And so what happened, that's when I got bit by the bug.
Mhm.
That's when I got bit by the bug, the entertainment bug. And I did not know specifically what it was that I was supposed to do in entertainment. So I was dibbing and dabbing in a lot of things, meaning did some modeling, did some extra work. As a matter of fact, recently my sister called me and said, "Oh, I saw you on Law and Order as an extra."
Nice.
But it wasn't until I got a call from a casting director, and she said uh, I was hired by a major motion picture company, and they're looking for a tall African American woman who was not a size zero for an under five role. And I just thought, Jewel, I said, okay, I know I'm going to get this part. So I went down to the audition site, opened the door, and saw about 1,000 women that fit the bill. Now, when I saw that, I had, it was so many things that flashed before my face. And one of the things that came up was lack. Is my first time being exposed to the fact that racism was and is alive and well. And this is my first time seeing it up close in front. And so I closed the door, Jewel, and I walked away. And I said, I have to create jobs for women of color in this industry. And again, young, zealous, excited, but I was awakened at that moment when I got bit by the entertainment bug that this was something I had to do. So fast forward, talked to a couple of friends, and then I end up meeting this woman who wanted to help me in the best way she could. And out of that meeting was supposedly be a one-time event. And I said, okay, I'll call it African American Woman in Cinema. And when it was launched, women from everywhere showed up. And that's when I felt the calling fulfilled, meaning that I said, this is what I'm supposed to do in entertainment.
Wow. That's wonderful because it wasn't even just about a career for you, but helping to make a difference in other people's lives because you said the lack, right?
Yes,
And the
yes. And you know what, Jewel? I found out later on down the road, I'm actually a descendant of a civil rights leader from the 1800s.
Oh, wow.
And so all that was lying in my DNA. And it took a incident or a situation like that to bring that to the forefront. But see, that was the commencement of my calling. And I had no idea. And later, in telling a friend of mine this whole matter I just shared with you and your audience, she told me, she said, you know what? You did get the part. I said, well, what are you talking about? She said, when you went to that audition site, you got your calling assignment. I said, oh, wow. Okay. And that resonated so deeply.
Did you share the members of African American Women in Cinema this experience? Like what led to this?
I finally did at our film festival last year when we had participation from NBC Universal. We had an executive, she was doing a talk back, and I opened up with this. I said, you all are my biggest dream come true because this is a season of a full circle happening moment for me. And to see my calling come to fruition, meaning wanting to provide an opportunity, since that so deeply, kept going down many paths. And finally, I ended up here. And here we are, talk back with an executive for NBC Universal who's here to help you in your career and what you want to do. And I felt at that moment, my calling was being fulfilled. And so I was just so it was a good moment. It was a good moment when I shared that.
Were they surprised, emotional?
You know, the looks on their faces were like, oh, wow. And it was, if I can position it this way, it was hope realized,
Hmm.
and we as women, Black women in this country, we face so much. Our mothers, our aunties, grandmamas, you know, face so much. And to be in a industry that there is, I mean, in a lot of areas you fight, but I mean, sometimes it's a lot of times it's intense warfare.
Hmm.
and so and it can be extended for long periods of time, and I've heard others share with me that folks who they thought they can trust and found out that they couldn't. All these type of things that you contend with, and to finally reach a goal that you felt that you should reach decades ago
Mm.
spoke volumes. And I was a living testimony that when you walk into your calling, God will equip you with everything you need, including endurance, perseverance, patience. Those are going to be your superpowers as you walk through the process in the calling that He has designated for you.
What are those challenges that are specific to Black women in the film industry?
Mm. How long is the interview?
That makes
Well, um, there are many, 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 but I'll say this as a entree to what I would like to highlight. I got many calls and text messages and emails when we saw our dear sister Taraji, who really began to shed light on a lot of what she had been experiencing behind the scenes. And I think one of the reasons why it went viral is the fact that a lot of folks simply did not know that someone of her stature would be fighting that type of a battle. Extremely talented, gifted. I really enjoy her work. A lot of her work, I don't even have to read the synopsis because she really picks good scripts
yeah.
to do. And to see her in that state was heartbreaking, but it was also a confirmation that many that have just fought behind the scenes just to stay on, that they were not alone. And systemically and historically,
Mhm.
resources that is needed to help move you forward, you know, a lot of times there's just not the access, plain and simple. And, gatekeepers are in place to maintain certain things. And then you have others who you think, would be there to give you a helping hand. They look the other way, they go the other way. And so I really, Jewel, really want to be in position to begin a process to remedy that. And that may be very ambitious, but there got to be someone willing to start. I may not finish, but at least start the process of trying to be the resource financially that can help fund these dreams that was not allowed to be realized, but allowed to collect dust and not be shared. And it could really help and inspire many.
Are you talking about certain projects that don't get greenlit?
I'm talking about projects that don't get funded, period.
Yeah. And what kind of projects are these? Are these because we hear different things, like certain storylines that involve predominantly Black casting will go further than others. So is that what you're speaking to? Like maybe representation that's more positive that won't get the funding?
Well, I want to say that's kind of changing just a little bit because of technology.
Hmm.
We now don't have to rely on certain distribution outlets. As a matter of fact, we can distribute our own thing right on YouTube,
Hmm.
you know. So really, Jewel, me, you did a show independently, and all of a sudden now we got like a 500,000 viewers. That would spark attention to get some sort of support. But let's say me, you had a project and we just need seed money to get started.
Right.
We just did a panel during Sundance. The title of the panel was called "The Politics of Black Women in Film." And to hear some of these powerful women say how they had to fight the powers that be to get them to look at a script. Forget about green lighting. That was way down the road. They thought it was positive. They thought it was had a good message. They thought it, but again, mindsets. You're dealing with mindsets, and these are the people that have the resources.
Wow. So having like African American Black women in cinema, African American women in cinema, and creating like a support system and a network and opportunities for them, what were some of the challenges that you had to overcome to make that happen? And what has been the response so far? The
Mm-hmm.
success stories.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna share one success story with you. Challenge is always funding, Jewel. I'm just gonna really put it out there. But a success story that I have several festivals ago, can't remember what year this was. We honored Regina King and Mr. Robert Townsend came and did a keynote panel on independent filmmaking. He was phenomenal. And so one of the attendees, she came to the panel. And when she came, she was under the auspices of Aspiring Actress. And during the time, during our award presentations where we honored Regina, she met Regina, and Regina gave her her cell phone number.
Oh, wow.
And she stayed in touch, and she ended up doing a short film starring Regina and Jada Pinkett Smith. So so she became a filmmaker.
Look at
And
that.
so yeah, and so when we do programming, especially the film festivals that we execute, it is our goal, Joel, that we want the audience or attendees who come that they would be inspired to be what they really feel they need to be and be encouraged by that in that atmosphere to meet like-minded folks, network. But that's the atmosphere that we want to create, a liberating atmosphere where the inner core of what you feel you need to be doing is able to come out and express itself.
That's beautiful. Who are some people, or is there anyone in your life across your journey so far? You did mention someone who did help you out, um, that has really helped you pivot.
Ooh, wow. Woo! I love you, Jewel.
You too, Sarah.
Gregory Hines.
Oh,
Gregory Hines. So, long story short, very short. I was really at a crossroads. I had not too long got into the industry, and so this was after the audition moment. and I really went gung ho, and we launched that event, and now I'm going all the way. And in addition to that, I had made a short film, and it was accepted into this international film festival where there were some issues going on, and I needed some support. And I said, where am I going to get this from? And, uh, for a lot of people who may not know, entertainment is a very expensive industry. And so you want to constantly need money to do things. Even if you shoot a film on your phone, you have to pay your crew, feed your crew, things of that nature. So, anyway, long story short, I had about a week to get some funds in to cover some of the expenses of the short film that I had in the film festival. And if I didn't come up with it, they were going to remove my film, and I had media calling, and I was just fit to be tied, because at this point I was just tired because the struggle was becoming real. And so I decided to reach out to Mr. Hines, who was doing a Broadway show. And I wrote him a note, a letter, and I took it to the theater where he was. And I asked the stage manager if he could put in his mailbox, and he did. And the next thing I knew, I got a phone call, like literally, Jewel, the day before I was supposed to have this money in, or everything, the plug was going to be pulled. And so I checked my voicemail. I had one message, and I hit play, and I hear, "This calls for Terra Renee. I am Fran Gregory Hines, business manager, and we're going to be sending you a check FedEx." And I passed out.
Incredible.
And later I got the opportunity to meet him, and I thanked him profusely. I said, "What made you? We didn't even meet yet. Like, what made you support me like that?" He said, "You know why? Because you were so determined." I said, "Thank you, thank you." So that was, I tell you, that was a crucial, crucial moment. And I'm so grateful that he answered that call.
How did you know to reach out?
Oh boy, Jewel, that was a process within itself. So I had every Monday night at the time, I had a group of colleagues who well, at the time they were in the industry. They were either actors or producers. And so as a group, we would come together and talk and be of support to one another. And so we'll sit in a circle, and each one give their little story for the week, for the day, or whatever it was. So it was my turn to share. And I said, "Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. My film is in this international film festival. This is due. If I don't have this by this day, they yanking everything. Ah." Okay, so then one of my colleagues said, "Oh, you know what you can do? Why don't you reach out to the Broadway stars on Broadway's two shows that starring African Americans?" And they were white. I was the only African American that, that would come to this support group. I'll call it like that. And so I said, "Really? What shows starring African Americans?" And they were like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And they went into detail, Jewel. And so when one started talking, another started talking, and then it was like, "This is your strategy," because I didn't know anything about none of that. And that's interesting that you zeroed in on that, because I didn't know. I had no idea there was a stage manager. I had no idea there was a stage door, that you can go to from the street. I had no idea none of that, and they told me, they gave me that strategy, and I followed it, and it worked. Certainly, I know it was God, but that's how that happened.
Also hearing what you say, it really underscores also the value of having these kinds of support groups because there's information that you
Yeah.
can, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You know, in this type of uh industry that we're in, because, well, one of my favorite mentors, Lou Ferguson, best known for he was in the movie The Interpreter, Made in Manhattan, and did a lot of Broadway. And he told me, he said, Terry, you know, because we're going against the grain, if you will, non-traditional way of us living our lives, we're going to often come to crossroads. And so it is so important to have the support system of those who either they're in the industry so they understand that adds another layer of support, or if they're not and still want to encourage you, that's helpful too. You know, those who are in the industry, they have information that they can share. Such was the case, you know, when that happened with me, you know. So, but it is vital. I don't think, and neither would I encourage anybody to go rogue, because it gets too intense and complex, and you just need an outlet. And also you need to be poured in, because you pour a lot out and you need to be poured back into. So a good support group, and it doesn't have to be big. This one I was in was big, and when I say big, maybe about 10 people, 15. It
Okay.
can be 3, it can be, you know, 4, you know. But as long as it is a safe space that you could, you know, take off your wig, take off your makeup, and say, this is who I am, and I'm bleeding today. Fine.
Is there like a vetting process at all to know that, you know what, we have people in this group where this truly can be a safe
Mhm.
place, a safe space?
You know what reveals that? I think the vetting process is discernment and time,
Oh, well
because,
said. Yeah.
you know, deception is a very, very evil, evil element. And if someone carries that, it could hide so deep, so well, and could go for a very long time. And then the real deal of who that person really is will show up at the most inopportune time, when so much of you and your trust have been vested, you know. So time, discernment. And in the interim, it's okay. Pray, talk to God, and He will also send someone, you know, that can be of support to you, you know. So, yeah, especially in these times, you really have to, your senses have to be very keen, because there are a lot of folks wearing serious masks.
Mm.
And if you are just going by what things look like, it that's too limiting, and it can land you someplace you really, you know, would not want to be.
That's excellent advice. Like, you know, discernment, yeah. And I
Mm-hmm.
guess trusting your instincts, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. If you sense something is not, mm, I like what this person is saying, but there's a little thing that's uneasy. Follow it. Do not ignore it. I've learned that lesson so hard multiple times. to my peril. Oh no. And that's where the deception came in, because they learned how to mask certain things, and oh, okay. And so you overlook the red flags. Override, override. And came to a point you couldn't override it anymore, overlook it anymore.
What was it? You don't have to go into detail, or what did it involve and how were you able to overcome that, bounce back?
Well, the person's true motive was revealed. Unfortunately, in this industry, you do attract, folks who are not willing to go through the process, not willing to do the sacrifices that it takes to move forward. And they feel that if they connect themselves to you, they could also glean and eventually try to take what you have worked so hard for themselves, so they can shine. And thank God, I pray a lot. And what happened was God allowed a situation to happen to expose the entire motive, because I was just so, I love people. I really do. I am really a people person, and I want the best for people. But just because I am like that, that does not mean the person that everybody else is like that, and it's no judgment or anything like that. It's just a reality, because people experience life differently, and it mold and shape their thoughts, their understanding, and their behavior. So those are the things you have to pay attention to, but time will tell you. Time will tell you, and discernment.
Earlier in the conversation, you did talk about, you know, having people that might not be in the industry, but if they're encouraging you and they can be supportive in that way. I always like to ask my guests who are creatives and in the entertainment world, what are your thoughts on pursuing your dream if it's in the arts, and then people saying like, oh, it's not practical, and
Mhm.
the 9 to 5, that whole thing. Where do you stand with that?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one. Again, I just want to go back to the conversation I had with my mentor, Lou Ferguson, who said that, this is a non-traditional path.
Right.
First of all, I feel that in order to pursue something like this, it has to be a calling, because the requirements, you're going against the grain. It's not no 9 to 5. You may be able to do some of that some of the times, but because of the nature of what this industry is, it requires a lot of availability. You know, if you're an actor and you need to be out there auditioning, all right, so your job may excuse you Monday. You can call in sick or whatever the case may be, or take your sick day or take your whatever
Mhm.
on Monday. And then you get a call back on Tuesday from the audition. This is a major show. What are you going to do? You know, boss is saying, okay, you have no more time to take off, but now you got a call back on Tuesday. So this industry, because of the unpredictability and all these things, you have to have the availability. Okay, so then how are you going to survive and pay your bills and all that?
Mhm.
And I remember talking to another colleague of mine. He said, oh, I always tell people, make sure you keep your rent low. So if you need to go grab some freelance work or odd end jobs, you can at least pay your rent and be able to eat, even if it's ramen noodles. I said, okay, okay. But the calling, that to me is vital, because in that calling, you'll be equipped with the stamina that will be required, the endurance that will be required, the perseverance through criticism, ridicule, and could be from your own family. You will have that. It will hurt. It's not exempting you from hurting, but you will have that ability to put one foot in front of the other and keep going until whatever it is that God have for you to do, you reach that threshold. So to me, it has to be a call because of the unpredictability of it, and we are creatures that needs, stability. We need predictability, and going against that, you're going to need that supernatural support.
Is passion the same as a calling?
Mm. I think that when you have the calling, it comes with passion. That's what I think.
I could see that. I could see that. With the different, well, first of all, before we get into the different aspects that go into African American women in cinema, what does a typical day look like for you, or are the days even typical?
They're not. I don't even know. I didn't realize today was Wednesday. So it varies because we all live life in seasons. That's what I believe. And in some seasons, things are very still and quiet. And in other seasons, things are just on fire. Time you get up, stuff going on, and you have to literally shut stuff down so you can at least get a couple of hours of sleep, you know.
Mhm.
So a typical day, it varies. We just got back not too long ago from doing a program during the Sundance Film Festival, film screening there. And so that was one of the times where things was just okay. As soon as you get up, all right, this, but make sure we got this. Okay, everything okay? Phone calls, emails, but. All right. Okay, we get ready to get on the plane. Up, okay. Then after that, it's a little bit of calm. You're still moving things forward because you're planning, for upcoming programs, making sure that everything is in place. And I began to develop a whole different, hopefully this will last, Jewel. I'm saying this publicly. I hope this can last, but a more peaceable approach to the things that I have to execute because I get excited still on the things that I am doing. And so, I tend to, when I'm excited about something and really happy about it, I tend to pour and run like the Energizer bunny. And it's like, whoa. And you feel it. Well, I feel it the next day, you know.
Well, that's good. Yeah, that means that you are really into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
The next day part is funny. So, how have you seen the organization evolve over 2 decades?
Man. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm young.
Or Terra?
um, but when we got started, there was no internet, there was no social media. And so it was, and I was becoming to understand it was many moving parts, a lot of which were expensive. And so the filmmakers that we begin to host and provide opportunities, at least to start networking and having their works that they bled for. Because you had to, back then, either you were able to make an 8 millimeter film or a 16 millimeter film. There was no such, if you were able to make a 35 millimeter, you had to have some serious bucks. And you had to buy your film either from Kodak or well, people went to Technicolor to get their sound and their negative match to their print, but a whole big process of editing, splicing scene by scene, all that stuff. Oh my Lord. And then do all of that, Jewel, and had no guarantee for distribution to make your money back. So the filmmakers who were in position,
Mm-hmm.
they put in a budget where they had to four-wall a theater. And for those who may be listening or watching, four-walling is when you rent a theater. And so there are independent theaters that some of these filmmakers were fortunate enough to rent. And if the film did well that weekend, then the owner would extend the run so they can recoup some of the costs. Then it was this whole thing of trying to transfer it to even see if they can get another life. I don't think cable was an option, but at least, maybe try to sell on VHS. So we have, in saying that, we have evolved. Technology played an incredible role. And so now, I mean, I was blown away one year when we showed the film that this filmmaker did on her iPhone, her entire film on her iPhone. I didn't even realize the difference.
Mm.
And when she said it, I was blown away. And so now you don't have to four wall a theater. Create your own website or put it on YouTube, create your channel on YouTube, have your friends, family come and watch it, bring up the numbers, start the buzz, put it in film festivals. So, from a technology standpoint, it have enabled more storytellers to bring that burning story, that rich story that they wanted to share to life. And for me to witness that from the time we started, knowing that there were so many stories that could not be realized because of the barrier, financial barrier, that would not enable them to get the necessary equipment so other folks can see the vision that they carried.
We talked about a lot about funding.
Mhm.
Is it ever possible for there to be an alternative to funding to help make it easier to get projects off the ground, or no, is that it? Is it just strictly what it
Well,
is?
the technology helped. It really helped because and this is funny to me. There was an actress, well, I'm going to say inspiring filmmaker,
Mhm.
and so when COVID broke out, she literally took her phone, no money, took her phone, put on her little costume, which was a hat, spoke her script right into the camera, and she was talking about a conversation she had with her son about staying in the house and the range of emotions. I mean, it was so captivating. I think the film was maybe 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and put it out. She put it out on the festival circuit. We definitely selected when she submitted to ours, and that didn't cost her anything. And that's something when we first started was impossible. Now, yes, money in her situation would have still been great because she could use that towards the marketing efforts, maybe even paying a publicist to put it out in more media outlets about it, things of that nature, or even do a big premiere about it if she wanted to and invite, folks to come see it to
Mhm.
start a bigger buzz. Yeah.
How do you know what films you want to be selected for African American women in cinema, the festival?
Okay, I had to get out of that lane.
Okay.
So we have a selection committee. We have a president of jurors and we have judges. And thank God that they do all the hard work. They get to watch these incredible stories and then they score them. So the films that get the highest scores, they are the ones that are selected to participate.
And you said that's a lane that you stay out of.
I
Why
stay
so?
out of it.
What makes it hard for you?
Well, I think I'm biased because I love women storytellers because of their intuitive gift, and they're just more uh symbolic in their expression when it comes down to visuals. And so I get drawn in a lot very easily. And the story or the production value have to be really, really, really on the low end for me not to, embrace it. And so when you get, when submissions and you have a certain time to program films, not every project or every film will be able to participate. So now you have to start the elimination process, and that becomes extremely difficult for me. So I said, okay, I'm out of it.
Out of the different hats that you wear, just tell us what those hats are and if which ones are your favorite.
Oh boy. Woo! I love producing, Jewel. I love to oversee. I love to when I see the vision
Mhm.
and be able to implement and see how it all, unfolds. And I love to give people an opportunity to participate in the vision if they want to. And my hopes is that they would be inspired to then execute their own vision and utilize the opportunity, to network and get some disciples that would assist them. So producing, I love producing, bringing the whole thing element together and see the execution of it.
What's the best advice that a producer can receive and the worst advice?
Mm. Woo! Uh, that's an excellent question.
Thank you, Tara. We try.
I think one of the best advice is that if you really feel very strongly about a project, you should definitely move forward to try to make it happen. Um, and the worst advice is going against your gut. No one should ever tell you to go against your gut. Shouldn't do it. I don't care how beautifully the presentation look, what the promises are, what benefits are being presented to you. If you are sensing there's something not right or uncomfortable or uneasy, do not go against it. Anyone who said, oh, go against the Jewel, because at least you can get this done, you can get that done. But, and you don't find out the real cost of making that decision till you way down the road with so much at stake.
Talk about it, Tara.
so so that's the worst of it. Never. And people tell you, go against it because this, they're looking at the here and now. But Jewel, we operate from a very big picture that we just do not see all the pieces yet.
Yeah.
You got a few pieces in front of you, but it's part of a bigger picture.
Well, speaking of, you clearly have, a lot of wisdom and everything that goes without saying. Did you know that you would go on to write a book? You did contribute to a book and then you wrote your own.
No, I didn't know, and thank you so much for bringing that up. I had no idea I would write a book. Although a long time ago, a friend of mine did tell me she had a dream about me that I was going to get an award for something I wrote. And I said, really? Wow. But that came about. Okay, so now I'm tying the story back to when I first felt the calling
Mm.
and went to the audition site and closed the door and didn't even audition. So Vera Moore, who was another one of my mentors, she was one of the first African Americans to do a soap opera, and she has her own cosmetic
Yeah.
line.
Mhm.
I love her, love her, love her, love her. And she reached out to me. She said, "Terra Renee, I want you to meet somebody. Have somebody for you to meet." I said, "Okay." She said, "She's a filmmaker." I said, "Oh, that's wonderful." So she connected us together, and the woman who she connected me to, I mean, the moment we said hello, it was a peaceable, divine presence. And I said, "Wow." I said, how are you? I understand you're making a film." And she said, "Yes." And so she was telling me about the film. I said, "Wow, that's great. That's great." And then she said, "Yeah, I heard about you and the organization is phenomenal. How did you get started?" So then I proceeded to tell her the story about the audition. And so after I got finished telling her, she said, "So you didn't audition?" I said, "No." I said, "When I saw those women there for the under five role, and for those who may not know what that is, it's under five lines. And a lot of these roles don't even make the cut in the film." So she said, "Wow, you didn't audition?" I said, "No, I didn't audition." And there was my chance of getting the under five role. She said, "Well, you know what? I'm offering you an under five role." I said, "What? In your film?" She said, "Yep, in my film." I couldn't believe it. Faith-based film starring Melba Moore. And I said, I don't know what to say. I'm in shock. She said, "Nope, I sense this. Let's go for it." So my role, I play Miss Bailey, someone who moved to a different state, and I was struggling. And my pastor, who was a woman, she helped me from not losing my home. And so after service, I greet her and thank her for helping me stay in my home. And Jewel, I found out I made the film. I didn't get cut out on the cutting floor.
Yes, good. Yes,
And
you
it's going to
belong in that.
premiere.
Yeah.
It's going to premiere on March the 15th at AMC Theater. So, but
Oh,
anyway, I so that was the inspiration for the book. And I said, "Wow, this came full circle. This is mind-blowing." And so I talk about that experience and offer words of encouragement for those who feel a call on their life or sense that they should be doing something and may not yet have developed the courage to step out.
oh, I'm so glad that you shared that. You know, actress is one of the many different hats that you wear. We're definitely excited for the film, and we love Melba Moore as well.
Oh, she is
So,
phenomenal. Mm-hmm.
did
She
you guys get to meet at all? You had scenes together when filming it?
I didn't have scene with Miss Moore, but I did get the opportunity to meet her. Gracious, gracious. Was so happy to see her on the set, and she was just so engaging, and I really enjoyed myself. I really did. And there was so my scene is a church scene, of course, because I'm thanking the pastor, and there was a moment um that the director had us warm up and just become church members for the scene, and they did praise and worship, and And I was so grateful for that. And I really got into it because I was just so grateful that this was even happening, and um and that this is something else that I can share to inspire. And that's what I really want to do, Jewel, is to inspire people, because living in this world, it's just, it's not easy, very tough, and you are consistently dealing with negativity, obstacles, things of that nature. So if I can be the one that could come and bring hope and inspiration and encouragement, that's what I want to do. So I was so grateful for this film opportunity, and now able to share it.
And on that note, Miss Terra Renee. Miss Terra Renee, what a pleasure to speak with you today. Thank you for coming on So Booking Cool. You are so booking cool. You know that, right? You are. And wow, how can everyone keep up with you? And I'm sure there are going to be many as well. They want to keep up with you. Stay tuned for what you have going on. And how can they even get involved as well with the wonderful work that you do?
Oh, thank you, thank you. Yes, please go to our website, www.aawic.org, which stands for African American Women in Cinema.org. And on there, if you go to our membership page, we have 3 tiers of membership, but the first one's complimentary. There's our email. So you could be in touch with us via email there. And we hope that you become a member, even, on the complimentary level, so you can be abreast of programs that we have coming up or opportunities that we have coming up. We'd love to share it with you, so that way you can either participate or even share. We are in that era now that we definitely have to share and support one another.
Yes, guys, I think we can all agree it's worth definitely checking out, And thank you again, Miss Tara, for chatting with us. Would love to have you on the show again in the future.
Would love to be back. Jewel, you are amazing. I love your show. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you as well, my friend. Thank you. You're amazing. And thank you to all the viewers and listeners. Until next time, so booking cool.